Welcome to Two Bitches in a Broom podcast. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode. I don't know the number, so I'm not going to say it uh, because I don't even know it. But this week's topic that we're going to jump into is energetic compromise, the what, the how, the who, the where, and all of the above. What is energetic compromise?
So this is where
I
you
don't
want me to
know.
fill that in.
Yeah.
Okay. It's it's a phrase that I use that I think really describes perfectly. I think a lot of people will hear things like, oh, you have a hole in your aura or a tear, or you have an attachment, or your aura is full with gunk, or you have psychic cast off debris in your aura. And all of that is energetically compromised. So if
Mhm.
anything that affects your energy and your aura is energetically compromised,
Yeah.
essentially.
I like that's a nice way. I use that term too when I have to explain something because I don't like to entice any fear that's
Yeah,
opposite of what
yeah,
I'm trying to do, but
yeah,
I also need to be as transparent as possible. And I
sure.
like that
Yeah,
energetic compromise.
yeah.
So, what are some ways that someone could be? Let's talk about that first, I guess, because I'm sure when people are hearing this, they're like, am I at least that would be me. I'm listening to something and I'd be
Yeah.
like, am I energetically compromised?
um, well, the very first thing, like I think there are definite signs. One of the first signs of being energetically compromised is that and, and I want you to keep in mind, it's what I'm about to say or we're about to disclose as signs or symptoms. It's just like if you were to go on to WebMD, okay? It can fit a
Mhm.
lot of different things. We're just discussing energetically compromised. So if you
Yes.
have one or two of these, that doesn't mean you are. I want you to look at it as a whole and go, do I have all of these? Do I have
Hmm.
most of these? Do I have 8 out of 10 of these? You know, because if you have
Hmm.
8 out of
Right,
10,
right,
there's a good chance you do. But if you have
right,
one or two, there's a good chance you don't, you know?
right.
So use good discernment when you're listening to this. Nobody knows you better than yourself. One of the things I say to all of my clients is if you are having this persistent thought that something is wrong, something is off, and you don't know what it is, something is off, something is wrong, most likely there is.
Hmm.
Most likely you've been compromised.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what would be, let's get into the signs of potential compromise in the energy. What would be the kind of the first thing that you go through to notice if someone has been compromised?
Um, Clumsiness.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's one that most people don't expect to be
Hmm.
asked. But when you are energetically compromised, your energy is going to be wacky and your body's going to respond to that energy being off. And you're going to be clumsy. You may be dropping things, breaking things. Um, you may be running into walls. You may be stubbing your toe on furniture quite a bit.
Hmm.
Or like, man, I've dropped that same freaking pencil 4 times. What the heck is wrong with me? You know, just
Yeah. Yeah.
clumsy by nature. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I notice like when with clients with the clumsiness, it's because I hear this too sometimes of well, I'm naturally just like clumsy. And like, but this is a repeated at one right after the other, at least
Yeah.
in my experience and noticing of working with clients on this topic. It is, yeah, we're clumsy. Like, I have two left feet, but not where I'm doing something and I fumble this and then trying to go do something else and this goes and I fumble that, or I'm,
Sure.
stuff like that. So it's a progression of these things. And typically with individuals who are just naturally on the clumsier side,
Mhm.
me, but it's not a pattern back to back like that. So just keep that in mind if you're watching this too,
Yeah.
you know.
Like some people, you can have an equilibrium issue that is caused
Hmm.
clumsiness. You can have an ear infection that would cause that. Again, use good discernment. If you don't have a medical condition that is causing these outward expression of that disease, if you're checking all the boxes like, hey, I'm pretty healthy, everything's, pretty good.
Right, right.
And then you're constantly having things drop, fall, stubbing, tripping over absolutely nothing, just
Hmm.
randomly walking and tripping. Perfect sign.
Yeah,
Perfect sign. Yeah.
yeah. I feel like too, one of the, at least in my experience of this topic, absent-mindedness, I notice with clients happens a lot of confusion and uh,
Yeah.
unable to stay on task and
Yeah.
distracted, like
Mhm.
hard, really hard to focus
Yeah.
for individuals with when their energy has been compromised too. So that's something to notate also.
Yeah.
It's, and again, remember we know ourselves the best. We know how we feel, we know our baseline, we kind of know how we operate as an individual. So these are things that are going beyond that baseline where you
Yeah.
can't really attribute it to anything else. I'm a big fan of assessment and
Yeah.
checking yourself out,
Yeah.
is there like a sickness going around your house? Is there, a lot of, or is your mind, especially with like the absent-mindedness, do
Mhm.
you just have a lot of other stuff going on in your life, or how's your stress level?
Yeah.
All of these other things too. So take all of this into consideration. I'm a huge proponent of just do an assessment,
Yeah.
run through everything in your life, kind of
And
take
I
everything as a grain of salt.
That's exactly what I have. You saw me reach over here and grab
Hmm.
a pad. I was sneaking it down here. Um, and that's exactly what I have is I go through, there are very specific uh questions that I ask that are
Hmm.
curtailed to uh help me determine whether or not that person has been affected. I think stress is an excellent one. It's an
Hmm.
excellent one because we often overlook that. We often overlook that stress can be a very big factor in so many different things in our life. Um, so yeah, if you got a lot of stress going on, it's going to throw you off. But if you're like, yeah, no, I'm just plugging along, doing the same thing over and over, and it's not stressful, and
Right.
I always consider it as foggy thinking. That's how I
Yeah.
describe it.
Yeah.
Do you have foggy thinking? Do you find yourself to where you're not quite remembering, what's happened or what you should be doing next, or are you losing your place when you're reading? Can you comprehend when you have read a paragraph?
Hmm.
Can you
Hmm.
retain that? That's a big one I use
Yeah.
because more likely than not they won't.
Yeah.
So
I've noticed that in the clients that I've worked with and seen on this topic, that's a pretty surefire sign
mhm,
because they all carry that same sentiment of I can't keep my mind straight.
yeah.
And so that's a big one. Yeah.
um Another one that I also believe is often overlooked is somebody who visibly has um a bouncing knee. They're bouncing their knee, or if you look and their nails are bitten, they've been biting
Mhm.
their nails. That's a very anxious tendency.
Mhm.
And it would be very normal if you're coming to me and you've never met me before, and you may have an anxiousness because you're not really sure how things are going to pan out. But if your nails are really bitten down and we're just meeting, then that's going to be definitely a red flag. Like, what's going on that would cause that,
Right, right.
you know?
Yeah.
Um, Anxiousness comes in many different forms and many different ways in different people, but that seems to be a pattern across the board that I've seen with energetically compromised individuals.
Mhm.
Nowadays, women, um, they get fake nails,
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah,
mine are
yeah.
real, but a lot of people get fake ones.
Yeah.
So you can kind of hide that, but it's really hard to hide a bouncing knee, you know?
Right, right.
Really hard to hide that one.
Yeah. I notice in assessment with this and running through, it's also to and this could very well just be when they're in front of us for assessment or in front of a practitioner, but uh keeping eye contact and like fidgety, that's the thing that my brain goes,
Yeah,
let's explore that. Like
yeah,
you can't, you see them and they're you're having a hard time making eye contact with an individual,
yeah,
you're looking away, you're fidgeting with stuff, like the
right.
nail thing too. And you notate that of, okay.
Yeah. And that's a really great point, because one of the first questions I ask is, are you neurodivergent? Because that's
Mm-hmm.
super important for me to know, because people who are neurotypical, they're going to react one way, and people
Yep.
who are neurodivergent are going to have a completely different response.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So neurodivergent people, they're not really good with eye contact.
Yeah.
Cool. But if I know upfront that you are considering yourself to be neurotypical and you don't want to make that eye contact, red flag. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. um what is something else that would be another sign?
Sickness in your body that comes on
Mm.
suddenly, with no explanation. And when I say sickness within the body, that doesn't mean flu. It doesn't mean cold. It means you feel sick and you don't know why you feel sick. You just
Mm-hmm.
feel sick, achy body and sick,
Mm-hmm.
with no clear pinpoint. As in a flu, you have the flu. With a cold, you're coughing, you have a cold.
Right, right.
This is a general malaise feeling, with I just feel icky, I feel sick, and I don't know why. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I usually count that when I do mine as what I've noticed, the what people when I go through assessments with individuals and how they would explain it is that icky dirtiness that they feel
Hmm.
and unsettling feeling, and they can't, again, assessment running through, is it allergy season? Are you having the
Yeah,
typical signs of like fever, chills,
absolutely.
runny
Absolutely.
nose, things like that? And you can't direct it into one particular area,
Yeah.
but you also just feel like you're dragging
Yeah.
and inside.
Yeah.
Um, I also noticed too, like one of the signs that I look at as well is lack of motivation for a lot of things in your like day to day,
Hmm.
and you just can't seem to
Right.
have the energy to get to do those things.
Absolutely. I also think sleep patterns. That's one
Hmm.
of the big ones I ask.
Oh, that's a big one. Yeah.
How's your sleep compared to if they're telling you this has been happening for the last 6 weeks? I will
Hmm.
go back even further. So
Hmm.
I will say, okay, well, how were you feeling 6 months ago? How were you sleeping? If you had to compare your sleep cycle now to 6 months ago, how is that? Has it
Hmm.
changed? Is it different or the same? Are you getting more sleep or less sleep? You know?
Yeah.
When we sleep, that is when our body, we're kind of like plugging into the wall socket and we're recharging.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're not getting sleep or you're getting disrupted sleep, that is not good for the physical body. And it tells me that there has been an energetic compromise. Now, I know I'm going to get lots of heat for saying that because tons of practitioners are going to say, I wake up every night at 3 o'clock. Look, I'm an old girl. I wake up every night to pee.
Right.
I go right back to sleep. That's what I'm referring to. I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about waking up and you can't go back to sleep and you literally want to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Yep.
Um, that's what I'm referencing to. It's not a matter of I'm being awoke by spirit or conversations or anything. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you are waking up for no known reason, no reason whatsoever that you're aware of, tired, wanting to sleep, and cannot fall back to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
That is a big, huge red flag for energetically compromised.
Oh yeah. And I noticed too with that, it's with the topic of sleep, it's a lot of complaints of just being so tired, but so antsy feeling.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
like I'm
Yep.
so exhausted, but I
Mhm.
just, and when I look at that, it's like in the assessment of your soul cannot rest because you are on guard because
Compromised.
there's a compromise.
Yeah,
So it is, and sleep is a vulnerable
it is.
opportunity.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
you know uh but it's sleep is a vulnerable time frame, and your soul
Absolutely.
cannot allow that to happen because of the compromise. So you're so tired, you want to sleep, that's all you want to do, but
You will
you're
get
just so
enough
antsy.
sleep to
Yeah.
keep you alive, but not to rest. That's what your brain will allow
Hmm.
you enough sleep to keep you alive. Listen to that,
Hmm.
but not actually be recharged.
Yeah.
And it's the biological rhythm of our hind brain that's controlling that. It's like, oh, you're not safe. Wake up,
Yeah.
wakey,
Yeah.
wakey, you know?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's a huge point when we're looking into an energy compromise.
Mhm.
I feel like too, it's another sign that I notice, is your intuition screaming at you.
Sure.
Something's off, something
Yeah.
feels wrong,
Which is
something's
what
not
I said
right.
at the very
Yeah.
beginning. Yeah.
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 And that's something that, and I feel like more often than not, people bypass that as, oh, I'm just,
Yeah.
oh, I'm
I'm
sure it's just this
overthinking
or
it.
that,
It's
or,
fine. Yeah.
and it is continuous. Something feels off,
Yeah.
something's wrong, nothing, and I notice too with individuals, it also is that feeling of presence around you, that
Yeah.
unsettling feeling with a compromise. It's, you're in your room by yourself, or you're in the kitchen doing something, and you just can't, like, I see people like this, like, I just can't,
Yeah.
uh, you know,
Yeah.
and that's a common theme with
Yeah.
individuals that have that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think that it is very, very overlooked, especially by females, because women at large, they have, and I'm not denoting any males whatsoever, um, because I'm sure they have stress just like women do. I think women take on quite a bit of stress, you know.
Hmm.
They're working, raising families, and they are trying to be the superwoman, right? So in their mind, they're like, oh, I'm just, concerned about the next whatever checklist is in their
Hmm.
brain,
Hmm.
and it's often overlooked. And I was telling you before we even started, this week I've had, like, my docket's been full. I worked 14 hours yesterday because there is so many people that are coming to me that are compromised. And
Hmm.
they're compromised when they're coming to me, but it's been like 5 months, It's like, wow, you're
Oh yeah.
for hanging in that long,
Yeah.
because I think they've tried everything, or they don't want to seem like they're crazy, or they don't want to believe it, maybe,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know. Um, but I've had yesterday, I had 3 people ask me, is this a real thing? Because they were a brand new client,
Hmm.
Like, is
Hmm.
this a real thing? Can this really happen? It's absolutely
Hmm.
a real thing. It's your energy,
Well,
you know?
yeah, I think that's a great point because I feel like if we're collectively moving into a much more sensitive, energetic state of being,
Mhm.
and words have power,
Sure.
intentions have power,
Mhm.
and I feel like there's more people who maybe turned away from the woo woo or metaphysics
Yeah.
as just something, a Hollywood,
Yeah.
made up thing. But now we're not in that state of existence anymore, as we've talked about so many times before, of the veil dropping, all of these things happening.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's something important to notate. It is, words have power, intention has power, and more people who are not really open to that stuff are now getting a dose of, oh yeah, there's a thing of energy.
Yeah.
There's this thing
Exactly.
called energy. There's this thing called your aura, your energy, your
Absolutely.
universe. And yes, it is not tied to any of these systematic societal programming shit that's been fed to us. We're
Yeah.
not in that existence anymore, kind
Right.
of thing.
Right.
So,
It's it's
yeah.
it's very interesting. It's
Hmm.
very interesting. Um, and anybody who's been watching us for a while, you already seen this episode. For those that are new that haven't, go back, watch episode. I think we said 21 for psychic attacks, right?
Yeah. It's either 21 or 22, but it's
Okay,
right
it's
around
one of
there. Yeah.
those. It's
It's
labeled.
labeled psychic
Yeah,
attacks. Yeah.
it's labeled. Um, so look at that, and that will show you one way that you can become energetically compromised. But
Hmm.
make no mistake, there's a lot of different ways you can become compromised.
Hmm.
Um, if you are surrounding yourself or spending a lot of time with a person that really doesn't have your best and highest good in mind, and they may be jealous of you or envious of you, or they may just generally not like you.
Hmm.
They're sending thoughts of, I don't like this person, I want what they have, or whatever it may be.
Right, right,
Trust me, friend, that is affecting your energy,
right. Oh, yeah.
So, and especially if you are in a work environment,
Hmm.
you're spending 8 hours a day in the environment with the person that feels that way with you. Yeah. Yeah, it will affect you. Um, and there's a lot of things that you can do to prevent it.
Yes.
Lots
Because
of,
I think it's important to note too, you allow what comes in and out of your energy. You
right,
have that, even though we say intention has power, words have power, but
sure.
your divine power and divine will of your space and your energy
Mhm.
supersedes that because you are the one that controls what comes in and out. And just like Charlie, when Charlie was explaining, you know, because I know I hear some people may be watching this and think, "Oh gosh, I'm around these kind of people, especially like in work environment where you really don't have much of a choice. Like
Right,
you have to interact with these individuals."
right.
Um, and you know, am I going to be compromised because of that with another person? But it's up
I
to
mean,
you what you
it could
allow.
even be your mother-in-law. Like my
Oh yeah.
mother-in-law is fantastic. I love her. She's great. I don't have any issues, but I've heard horror stories.
Right,
I've
right.
heard a lot of horror
It
stories,
is.
you
But
know.
it's again like I've had actually clients and people that I know who have those situations with family members.
Yeah.
And one very usually the first point that I make when this is brought to my attention is you're entertaining that still. You're allowing that to still happen. So it's going to affect you, sure,
Yeah.
because you are opening up to it, right? So this is where we come into the proactive portion. Don't fret,
Yeah.
my pet. We have solutions for you.
Yeah. And what the very easiest, the most easiest thing for protection is that you ask for protection from your deity, whatever God is to you, whatever
Mhm.
that label, the big kahuna, whoever that may be, your
Yeah.
creator, that right there. You wake up in the morning, you're like, I am asking for protection. That's numero uno.
Hmm.
That right there, you're ahead of the game just by doing that.
Hmm.
The really like free will is kind of like this double-edged sword. And
Oh
we were
gosh,
just
yes.
talking about this. We
Oh
forget,
gosh.
we forget to do the easiest, most simplest things. Um, and your team, your ancestors, your guides, they cannot interfere unless you ask for assistance.
Hmm.
And you're like, well, it should be a no-brainer protection, right?
Right.
But you still got to ask for it or you're not
Right.
getting it, you know?
Hmm.
So you're already ahead of the game if you just ask for it. That's number one.
Hmm.
Number two, and this is one that resides very deeply with me, very deeply within my practice. It is to have a piece of jewelry or an amulet, whatever you want to call it, that is specifically designed for protection.
Hmm.
I believe in that strongly. I definitely believe in the power of crystals. I love Chris's little phrase. They are the best coworkers
Yes.
in the metaphysical field, right?
Hmm.
They're not going to do all the work for you, right? But they're going to do a lot of work for you. You have to put the intention behind them in order for them to do the work for you. Um, and I hope you don't mind. I'm going to throw you under the bus here a little bit, Chris.
Okay.
I don't, I don't make these. But Chris absolutely does make them. I've referred a lot of clients to her because I know that they're definitely going to be for their best and highest good. And I'm real weird about jewelry and the energy that it holds. And I know that she's got good juju, so good intentions that it will assist. But that's what I'm referring to is to get something like that. So I don't care if you go and you get a stone and you're like, I am selecting this, like I have, this.
Mm.
So you go to the store and you're like, okay, I'm selecting it. And this is going to be my protection. This is what I'm designating. And you're going to put it in your pocket. Hopefully it won't be square in this bag, but you'll pick that. That'll
Yeah.
work too.
Oh
That'll
yeah.
work too.
Yeah.
I'm kind of I'm such a girly girl. I love jewelry. I love crystal jewelry. So that's my first go-to because I know I'm going to put it on, I'm going to wear it, and I'm not going to drop it out of my pocket or you know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
going to be
Hmm. Hmm.
something that I know I'll put on every day and I'll wear.
Yeah.
So, and that's just a really quick, easy, wonderful way because the first rule of metaphysics is intention.
Mm-hmm.
That's the very first rule. That's the very first thing that I teach my students is intention. Your intention is paramount. Is paramount. What you
Absolutely.
believe, you perceive, and what you perceive becomes your reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's the stone. I am saying that the stone is providing me protection. The stone is now providing me protection. I am asking for my guides, my angels, my ancestors to come and protect me. Um, Therefore it is. So mote it be. Because I say it,
Mm-hmm.
so it is, you know.
Right. Right.
That's the intention. Those are two really easy ways. So now let's talk about what happens if you're like, well, I'm starting to kind of feel that, but not all the way. Like I feel like kind of icky, but not like, not to the degree that you're talking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like, what if they have like 4 symptoms and they're like,
Right.
oh,
Right.
it's not completely trashed energy. Sorry,
Uh-huh.
but it's not completely trashed, right?
Yeah.
So, what would be an effective thing that they could do to clear that?
Well, my go-to when it's like that, I I feel like, well, great. So you're not all the way there yet. Because remember, too, a lot of people sit with this for a long time,
Yeah,
extended time,
yeah,
to where they do they check all the boxes
yeah,
because they've sat with it for so long.
exactly.
So I'm always of the school of thought of any rumble in the jungle.
I love that one.
Knock it out at that point. So I always suggest, you know, you can make or you can purchase or have a clearing spray,
Yeah.
an aura spray. You
Mhm,
can do a scrub in the shower,
mhm,
a bath, a salt bath soak,
mhm.
to clear your energy. This is where we come back to spiritual hygiene,
Yep.
and take those elements and apply it. Because if you're feeling like you have, maybe I have like not like maybe half or a little bit of it, why not redirect that traffic right now? Why not stop it instead of being like, oh, well, I only have, you know, 3 of the things. It's not really a big deal.
You're right.
My brain goes, yeah, no, we're gonna we're gonna knock that shit out right now. Again, with what Charlie just explained of the using like the jewelry. And I even tell, thank you for that. I do make jewelry and spiritual hygiene products, but I even tell with my male clients, if you're not comfortable wearing it, you can keep it in your pocket. You can keep it on
Absolutely.
you. You don't have to be, I know, individuals would look at Charlie, look at me and see, oh, we have rings on, bracelets on, necklaces on, things like that.
Mhm,
But if you are not, even some females, mostly males, but some females too, are really just not for wearing things.
mhm.
Yeah, you could still have a stone or a bracelet or whatever, and you can keep it in your pocket. You can keep it, for females, you know, tucked
Yeah.
in your bra. It doesn't have to be showing out to the public, but it's for you in your intention.
Yes.
But yeah, if you, like I said, any rumble in the jungle, let's cut that shit out right now, friend. Spiritual hygiene is going to be your best friend. Quick
Yeah.
fix.
It really will. And
Mhm.
while you were talking about that, I was trying to go on our website and under the YouTube and see
Uh-huh.
exactly where we talked about spiritual hygiene. And if I'm not mistaken, it's in the I'm Awake Now What's that we did those
Oh, okay.
parts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So look for that for anybody who wants to learn more about the spiritual
Mm-hmm.
hygiene stuff, because we go really in depth on that one as well. I'm just referring to past
Yeah.
episodes of this
Oh,
one.
yeah. No, it's good because I feel like this also too ties into this is why we preach so much on your foundation.
Absolutely.
This is why it's the laying the groundwork when you first start out or you're experiencing something like this. I also kind of take it as maybe that's God's or your deity or
Yeah,
your source's way of
right,
bringing this to your attention.
right.
You know, I
And
feel everything has every experience has value.
it does.
So,
It does. I
mhm.
completely agree with you. And what I'm going to say is probably not going to be very popular with a lot of people, like most things I say, but
Right.
if you are energetically compromised, please hear me when I say this and don't take it to mean that you're getting your finger wag. That's not what I'm doing. The first step is awareness. And when
Hmm.
you have the awareness of why, you have the opportunity to correct it so it doesn't happen again. That's the whole purpose that we're doing these podcasts, right?
Hmm.
So the whole reason why it's happening is because you do not have good boundaries. That's why it's happening. Because if you had good, strong boundaries, nobody would be able to even enter your aura.
Hmm.
And if you want any information on creating boundaries, you can go on my website and I have a free PDF that says, I think there's 50. Am I right, Chris?
I believe, yeah, I think it was 50 that you
Yeah, I'm
did.
trying to remember.
Hmm.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
But there's like 50 different ways to create or to ask yourself to look at those boundaries of how you can shore them up, you know?
Hmm.
Um, because if you have weak boundaries with humans in your life, imagine those invisible energies, right?
Hmm.
Imagine those invisible energies, how they can penetrate.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
um, and again, it's not a finger wag. And I'm telling you, any metaphysical practitioner will tell you they have went through lessons and have learned, oh, I need better boundaries. I need
I
better
have yet
boundaries.
to meet one
Yeah,
that was like, never had a problem.
yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah, that's not a thing. But
it is, and I know it sounds crappy, but I think it's a rite of passage. It's
yeah.
coming into your own knowledge of your own power and how
Hmm.
you have the ability to control that.
Yeah,
Nobody can take anything from you without you letting them,
exactly.
you know?
And when I tell people about this, I'm like, this is gonna sound a little shitty.
Sure.
Love you mean it, but this is what it boils down to. Your lack of boundaries. This is where this comes from. So yeah, I always equate it to, especially like in the development and the practitioner setting,
Hmm.
how you are in your walking life is going to be directly translate to how you are with spirit.
Yeah.
So if you can't speak up for yourself or have no boundaries, or you allow yourself to continue to be the doormat,
Uh-huh.
how you are in your walking life is going to be how you are with
Yep.
spirit and energy.
Yep.
So think about that. And I love to say, once you are aware, you can no longer become unaware.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not how that works.
You can't ever say, nobody told me that.
Yeah.
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 No.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity to take that information, all of the information that we're sharing with you, and even directing you into the past couple of episodes where we went deeper into certain areas. Take
Mhm.
all of that information in, assess it for yourself,
Yeah.
and sit with it. How does it feel for you? How does that apply or reflect on your day-to-day life? And are there areas where you can establish boundaries? Maybe you need to revamp them.
Mhm.
Maybe you need to shift, because I think thank you, one thing that people bypass, because I'm hearing it, is when you are on your journey and you are moving along and trudging along, your
Mhm.
energy shifts, your vibration shifts. That's going to require a new set of boundaries, a new set of foundation, all of these things. I'm I know, well, I'm pretty sure, I think I can speak for you on this. Tell me if I can't, but when you do ascend, you continue moving on your ascension. It is a different level that you adjust all the way through, and it goes
Absolutely.
walking life, spirit life. So you make those adjustments. And that's why I know I say it to clients and students, you're going to ebb and flow with your boundaries and
Absolutely.
your intentions, your bottom line.
Yep.
You're going to ebb and flow with all of that. It's not a forevermore.
Yep.
It's for right now
Yep.
because you're going to continue, hopefully, you're going to continue to move and grow. It's going to
Absolutely.
require a new level of you, right? Everyone loves to talk about stepping up into their new level,
Hmm.
but and all of the cotton candy part of it, but
Yeah,
there's also this other part of
I
it
know.
where you can't have the same willy-nilly stuff that you did before up in your new level.
Yeah.
It's not gonna jive because
Oh,
it's doing that.
no. And that's actually something I say in my course. Like, journal today, because this is, you're going to look back on this and you're going to say, oh, I can remember when I was like that,
Hmm.
because you're going to evolve. As human beings,
Absolutely.
we evolve regardless of our metaphysical walk,
Right,
you
right.
know.
Oh yeah,
Uh, if you're not evolving, what the hell are you doing, right?
exactly.
But especially in our metaphysical practices, it happens so incrementally that you don't even notice it when it's happening. And then when you look back,
Yeah.
and you're like, wow, man, I can remember when. I can remember
How many
when.
times have we looked back and been like, oh, look at that silly little Chris back there in that
Yeah, yeah,
7 years ago, 10 years. Oh
yeah,
gosh, it's been 10 years now
yeah,
ago,
yeah.
uh, or, wow, look at little Charlie go when she,
Yeah, I
when
know.
she was doing stuff.
Yeah.
And had I known now
And it was
then what
totally
I know
different.
now,
30 years ago, it was different. It
yeah.
was totally different. Like, and you can, if it is in the workplace and you feel like somebody's got some
Hmm.
hucky vibes towards you, you can get, and it doesn't have to be this big. I like stones. So
Hmm.
you can get tourmaline and
Yeah.
you can put it, and you could literally make this your paperweight and put it on
Hmm.
your desk. Put it on your desk. It is such a great deflector of negative
Hmm.
energy. It is so wonderful. So wonderful.
Yeah.
Um, and, and again, 30 years ago, you put something on that like that on your desk that they're giving you the eye, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why do you got a lump of coal? It's not coal,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Um, you can also get a selenite, right?
Hmm.
I know this one's kind of big too. But I also know that they have little baby ones,
Hmm.
okay? And you don't need this is the thing. So I love stones. So I have like pretty good size chunks, right? Please don't feel like you're going to have to break the bank in order to capture energy. This energy is no different than this energy,
Hmm.
right? There's no difference. It's just bigger. That's
Yeah.
all.
You took the
Uh,
words right out of my brain.
yeah.
It bigger doesn't mean more effective. You can
Oh,
even have a little tumble selenite and
yes.
it's just as effective as a
It's just,
huge.
I'll be honest with you. Um, I I believe, like, why work hard and when I can do less. And this
Hmm.
will cover more area. If I'm, kind of
Yeah.
my aura, I can do it quicker. Where if I'm doing this, it will still clear your aura, but I'm gonna have to make
Hmm.
a lot more swipes. And I'm kind of
Yeah.
lazy. Okay. So that's the honesty behind it. But
Hmm.
you can get this and put it on your desk. A piece of selenite, get a piece of tourmaline, stick it on your desk right there. And the tourmaline is going to help deflect. And if you have to interact with that person for whatever reason, you can go, ugh, get that shit
Mm-hmm.
off me. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
And if that, let's say you're in an open space and you're like, I definitely don't want to be swiping a stone over my body where people are staring at me going, what's wrong with her? You can get an aura spray, right? People are not going to know.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God, it sounds like I'm plugging you, Chris. I'm not plugging
It's
her.
okay.
I promise you I'm not. I'm not. Her spray, the reason why I like her spray is because it doesn't have a big scent to it.
Mm.
It doesn't have a big, it's so light that it's barely there. So you don't have to worry about somebody going, oh my God, that stinks, and oh, that's too strong, and oh, it's giving me a headache.
Yeah.
All of that nonsense. There is barely a scent to it. But, just spray your aura, right? And you're like, bitch, be gone. You know, like,
Yeah.
and it's
Exactly.
very quick, it's very effective. You can feel it very quickly. And it does the job. Because the reality is, the reason why I'm saying to do all of these things, our aura, think of it as an eggshell, right? That's perfect. That's
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah, I didn't think of it. They said it.
Yeah.
So I'd like to take credit, but think of it as an eggshell, right? It does have this hard outer edge, but if you keep tapping it in the same spot, isn't that going to bust? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like our aura. So when you have negative energy and it just keeps tapping and tapping and tapping at that spot, eventually it's going to bust, right?
Oh yeah.
So what we want to do is have nice, good, strong boundaries because we're shoring up that shell and we're saying,
Mm-hmm.
no, 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 sir, keep moving.
Right, right.
Absolutely not, Um, and by inviting your guardians, your guides, your ancestors to assist you in that process, they'll help. Trust me, they will help deflect so much of that. They do so much work unseen. I
Mm-hmm.
know mine are probably exhausted.
Same. Minor. I always joke about that, but I'm for real. I'm like, yeah, they probably
Yeah,
think twice before.
yeah. I swear to you, when I go and I do
Oh.
vacations, they're probably like, thank God we need to rest. So yeah, but they're just little quick things. And by no stretch am I saying these are the only methods in which to provide yourself with
Mm-hmm.
protection. In my opinion, these are the quickest, these are the least expensive, that require the least amount that you have to do, that
Mm-hmm.
absolutely are 100% effective. And that's why I'm recommending them. Sure,
Yes.
there's many, many different ways, but why reinvent the wheel? This is easy. It's
Mm-hmm.
doable, you know?
Oh yeah.
So spray bottles, keep one at your desk, keep one in your car, keep one on in your bedroom, keep one on the main floor of your house,
Mm-hmm.
because whoever you're coming into contact with, you can just do a quick spritz. If you're getting a call from your boss and you're like, ugh, you can talk to your boss on the phone, hang the phone up, clear your aura, and go, yeah, okay, I need to let that go. Right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
If you go to the grocery store and there's 500 people there and everybody's got juju going on that you don't want interrupting yours, go out to your car, spray yourself, clear that, get rid of that, push, because when you are spraying that aura cleanser, what it is actually doing is washing the outside of the egg, and it's pushing all of that energy away from it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
attracts like.
Yep.
So when you spray that high vibrational energy cleanser, there's no way negative energy wants to be there anymore. There's no
Nope.
way. because you're not a match.
Hmm.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just actually had that experience last night. We went to dinner and we walk in and one of my roommates has also said, made a comment of, wow, everyone just seems so rude and like in the staff, the whole staff as a whole,
Uh-huh.
just like bothered and impatient and kind of a little like, rude. And it was the energy of, and immediately I'm just like, oh, I can already, well, because we read energy, I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
they're short staffed, they're
Yeah.
irritated, like they got a lot going on. But still, nonetheless, we get out and it's like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Not
No,
not up in
thank you.
here, you know.
Yeah.
But it is, and I tell selenite and black tourmaline, especially those two, um, you can find them fairly at any metaphysical or crystal or mineral shop, and they're fairly inexpensive for the most part. So they're easy to get and to keep. And even if you're at your desk and you don't want to be wafting yourself like this, I tell people too, so hold it in your hand. You're holding like the little selenite
Hmm.
wand. So, we all sit and like fidget with stuff. So fidget with the selenite wand,
Yeah.
holding that intention. It's gonna, push away all of that unbalanced stuff, all of the.
And these are, if you get them this size, they're relatively inexpensive.
Mhm.
Okay. If you get like a little pebble, they're
Yeah.
relatively inexpensive, for the tourmaline. Um,
Hmm.
even big chunks of tourmaline, this was 20.
Yeah, they're
I
not.
mean,
Selenite and black tourmaline are pretty easy to accumulate because they're not
yeah,
so expensive.
I'm, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to lie, but I'm pretty sure this was 10 and this was 20.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But now this one, if I'm not mistaken, is 3. I think it was
Hmm.
$3. And you can get a small tourmaline for
Hmm.
probably $3,
Oh yeah.
you know? So it is doable. It is doable. And you can absolutely thank you to this current dynamic that we're in with metaphysics. You can go on Amazon and you can buy
Oh,
them.
that's right. Yeah.
You can go on Amazon and buy them. So it is a doable thing. You can have it delivered right to your door. See how easy? See how easy? Don't work hard.
No,
Don't
I'm
work
all
hard.
about working smarter, not
Yeah,
harder.
yeah.
So, and these are little elements that you can just, it's easy to add in. It's easy to do. You can fold it into your routine and not be so outlandish or
Mhm.
like some people think. And it's so effective. Simple and effective things to do. Um, to clear your, I like that, clear your eggshell. Wash your
Yeah,
egg.
yeah. Wash
Wash
it.
your egg, people.
Just wash it.
Hmm.
But those are some quick, fast, easy, effective ways. Um, I absolutely hope that this has helped. I know if you're watching this and you've stuck around this long, then you've garnered some good information. It was definitely meant for you.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, cool. On that note, we're going to wrap it up. So I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you for sticking around this long with us and rocking with us so far. If you found this information helpful or you know someone who can, or in conversation with a friend, a family who you think, man, they are just complaining about all of these things going on, and maybe they could use a little bit of this. We always appreciate the energetic exchange of sharing, liking, commenting, and rating our show.
Yeah.
That helps us get out to reach more people, to help more people. And leave us a comment, suggestion, comment, experience. We all have them
Yeah.
of, what have you gained from this? Again,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
silly little Chris. Oh, look at little Charlie back then. So, thank you for being here. We appreciate your presence. And until next time,
Bye.
bye bye.